This story is about Anthony McRae, a 43-year-old man who killed 3 students and injured 5 others at Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan on February 13th, 2023. If you like hearing stories about people who suck, then like and subscribe. Anthony McRae was born on June 10th, 1979 in Bear, Delaware. He was raised in Trenton, New Jersey and moved to Michigan in 2003. McRae was arrested in June 2019 for carrying a weapon without a concealed carry license. He was charged with a felony and pled guilty to misdemeanor unlawful possession of a loaded firearm as part of a plea agreement in November 2019. He was originally sentenced to 12 months probation, which was later extended to 18 months, and in May 2021, he was discharged from probation. Because McRae was not convicted of a felony, his ban on possessing weapons ended with the end of his probation. The decision to allow McRae to plead to a misdemeanor instead of a felony was proven controversial. Former prosecutor Carol Simon was criticized for her decision to limit the use of felony charges for firearms possession. In response, Simon described the plea deal as standard practice, saying that nationally, about 95% of all criminal charges are resolved by pleas. McRae's father said his son had anger issues, and after the death of his mother in 2020, he became reclusive and socially isolated and started to get evil and mean, and he didn't care about anything anymore. He described his son as evil angry. According to the father, McRae had worked for about 7 years at a warehouse loading trucks but quit his job shortly after his mother's death. McRae's sister, who has not seen McRae since her mother's funeral in 2020, described her brother as socially isolated and hostile, and often transient. At the time of the shooting, McRae lived in his father's home in Lansing, 5 miles northwest of the campus. A note found in McRae's possession included threats to MSU. Other local businesses include the warehouse where he had previously been employed and 2 New Jersey public schools. McRae also claimed to lead a group of 20 people who were involved in his attacks, a claim that was dismissed by a Michigan State Police spokesperson. At 8:18 p.m. on February 13th, 2023, Michigan State University Police and Public Safety reported that shots were fired in Berkey Hall on Michigan State University's campus. MSU officials sent an alert tweet and text. Students were directed to run, hide, fight. A shelter-in-place order was subsequently issued. The gunman, later identified as Anthony McRae, entered room 114 in Berkey Hall, where Marco Diaz-Muniz was teaching. McRae fired repeatedly into the classroom, hitting 7 students, including Ariel Anderson and Alexandria Werner, who were fatally wounded. Emergency service dispatch logs indicate that another student was shot in room 135. Diaz-Muniz tried to hold the door to the classroom shut while his students took shelter and broke windows to evacuate. Some students escaped through the broken windows, while others stayed to help their injured classmates, putting pressure on wounds and fashioning a tourniquet from a belt. Diaz-Muniz estimated that police arrived 10 to 15 minutes after the shooting. McRae left Berkey Hall and walked to the MSU Union building, where he killed a student. 5 others were injured between the 2 locations. McRae was then seen leaving the north side of the Union, near the campus border. East Lansing residents living near the campus were also asked to shelter in place. Police responded to the call within minutes of the shooting taking place. There was a coordinated effort of local, state, and federal law enforcement with hundreds of officers assisting, as well as other emergency services. Approximately 30 fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency vehicles were present. At 11:35 p.m., McRae was confronted by police off campus in Lansing. Michigan State Police reported that McRae had 2 9mm handguns, 8 or 9 loaded magazines, and 50 rounds of loose ammunition. As the police were closing in, McRae decided to commit suicide and shot himself. 8 people were shot, resulting in 3 dead and 5 injured. All of the victims of the shooting were Michigan State students. 3 were killed: Ariel Diamond Anderson, a junior from Grosse Pointe, Michigan; Brian Frazier, a sophomore and Phi Delta Theta chapter president from Grosse Pointe; and Alexandria Werner, a junior from Clawson, Michigan. Another 5 students were injured in the shooting. 4 of the 5 injured victims required surgery, and 1 was taken directly to the ICU. All 5 were in critical condition. By February 21st, 1 of the victims had been upgraded from critical to stable condition, and 2 students had been upgraded to serious condition. 1 injured victim was Guadalupe Hopila Perez, a junior from Immokalee, Florida. 2 others who were injured were Chinese international students. One of them, John Howe, was paralyzed from the chest down. Another injured student, junior Nate Statley, from Heartland, was identified by his family, who set up a GoFundMe account. His brother characterized him as fighting hard to survive. On February 23rd, another one of the victims, music student Troy Forbush, a graduate of Okemos High School, was released from the hospital. Of the 4 remaining students in the hospital, 1 remained in critical condition, 2 were in serious condition, and 1 was in stable condition. The shelter-in-place order was rescinded following the gunman's death. All MSU activities were canceled for 48 hours, and classes were canceled until the following Monday. Classes in Berkey Hall and the Union were relocated for the remainder of the spring semester, and Berkey Hall was to remain closed for the remainder of the semester. Undergraduates were given the option to have grades reported as credit, no credit, instead of the usual grading for spring semester classes. That's the end of the video. If you like the video, then like and subscribe. It only takes 2 seconds and it would really help me out. Feel free to check out the other videos on my channel.